Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be back. I used to live 2 miles from here in Congress Park until we moved to D.C. It's nice to come home to sanity in Colorado. I want to start out by saying thank you, Governor. Thank you for your leadership, not only in expanding access to health care, but building an economy that works for everyone. 2.3% unemployment in Colorado under your leadership and your partnership with President Obama. That is all about giving people hope for brighter futures. And then I want to say a second thank you, and that is to all of you who are here today. It is inspiring to see all of you, because remember, Donald Trump and the Republican Congress promised to repeal Obamacare on day 1. That was their promise. And you know what, folks? It didn't happen. And it didn't happen because, you know what, folks? January 20th was undeniably an important day, but January 21st was far more important in this nation's journey to form a more perfect union. Women across America led marches. People stood up and said, "You don't stand for our values, Mr. President. You don't stand for our values, Cory Gardner." You know what? We work best when we work together. We work best when everyone has a fair shake. That's what the Democratic Party has always been about. We work best when unions have the opportunity to organize. We work best when people have access to health care as a right for all and not a privilege for a few. Universal health care is a moral imperative. It is a human rights imperative. It is an economic imperative. If you want to grow the economy, you want a healthy workforce. Let's not make America sick again. Let's make America work again. And the best way to do that is to make sure America is always healthy. And that is what Democrats believe. We believe that access to health care is a right for all and not a privilege for a few. And it is important to understand that the reason we have been able to preserve the Affordable Care Act to date is because of all of you. We know the data. We know that over 400,000 Coloradans have gotten access to Medicaid as a result of the governor's expansion and the great work of your Speaker of the House and the great work of people here. We know that there are over 2 million Coloradans with a pre-existing condition. We know that they have benefits now that they didn't have before. We know that the rate of the uninsured has gone down by 8% here in Colorado. We know that. But you know what, folks? The other side wanted to give a tax cut to the wealthiest people. It was not a health care bill. It was a massive tax cut for wealthy people who don't need it and corporations who don't need it. The richest 400 people in America, the richest 400 families would have gotten an annual tax cut of $7 million a year. $7 million a year for the richest 400 families. That is not a health care bill. And that is why we won. And we won. We won. But we have not finished the victory. We have won for now. And we have succeeded for now because of all of your stories. Because, as you well know, behind every stat is a human life. So many people stop me where I go, "Tom, my children," someone shared a story, "My 2 children are on the autism spectrum. Medicaid enables them to live in the home with us and get access to community-based services. It has been a lifesaver. I had the privilege of enforcing the Americans with Disabilities Act. Medicaid is about freedom for people with disabilities. And we cannot take away that freedom. The freedom to live in the community. This wasn't simply about repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act. It was about repealing de facto so many elements of Medicaid that are such a part of our fabric as a society. The richest, most innovative country in the world. Surely we can figure out a way to make sure that everybody has access to health care as a right. But you know, that's not what 13 men in the Senate, including Cory Gardner, were deciding. 13 men deciding about what is health care for women. Deciding about your reproductive health care rights. 13 men in the Senate. And they came up with a bill befitting 13 men in the Senate who don't know much about health care. They go after Planned Parenthood. They're going after women's basic reproductive health. Our oldest was born via C-section. Now my wife would have a pre-existing condition for life under their methodology. And that's why we continue to fight, my friends. And you know what? My most important message to you is we must continue the fight. Because we had success a couple weeks ago in the Senate. But we must understand that they will continue the effort. That is why I am so grateful for Drive for Our Lives, because we need to drive all over this country. We need to go to the western slope of Colorado and tell them that the rural hospital is your anchor for health care, that the rural hospital is your anchor for employment, that when you attempt to repeal the Affordable Care Act, you are cutting out the lifeline in that community. Anybody who has a friend who's grappling with the opioid epidemic, you tell them that 60% of the coverage for people struggling with opioid addiction is funded through Medicaid. And they say, well, we'll give another $60 billion back. Well, you know what, folks? If I took $1 away from you today and then told you tomorrow I'll give you 20 cents back, you don't need to be a math whiz to know you're kind of getting the short end of that one. And so that is why it's a moral imperative, my friends, that we move forward. It's an economic imperative that we continue to fight. And we must tell the Republicans in Congress and this president that you must follow the following basic principles. Principle number 1, do no harm. The millions of people who have benefited from the Affordable Care Act, the lives that have been saved, do no harm to them. What does that mean? That means keep your hands off of Medicaid. What does that mean? That means the 70,000 Coloradans who get a subsidy as a result of the Affordable Care Act, they should continue to receive that subsidy. Stop trying to sabotage the exchanges. I talk to CEOs of healthcare providers, and when they see uncertainty from Washington, they're confronted with two options. One is to raise their premiums. The other is to get out of the market altogether. So stop the sabotaging, Mr. Trump, and get to work. Harry Truman always said, the buck stops here. He exerted leadership. You're not exerting leadership. We can get this done because I had the privilege of working for Barack Obama, one of the most impactful presidents in American history. And we got a lot of progress here, folks. And as Governor Hickenlooper correctly said, we didn't get the whole way there, but we made tremendous progress. And you know what, folks? Principle number 2, as we move forward, the North Star should always be, are you expanding access to quality, affordable health care for more people? That should be our North Star. Our North Star should not be, can we reduce taxes for wealthy people? That's not a North Star. That is a star that should never rise to the sky. That is what we have to do, my friends. And when we continue this fight, we succeed. The most important word in a democracy is that simple 2-letter word, we. When we the people unite, we are at our best. And we have united on this issue of health care. Democrats will always believe that health care should be a right for all and not a privilege for a few. And when we continue to lead with our values and work united, we will succeed in building an America that works for everyone. An America in which you don't have to confront bankruptcy in order to get access to health care. We can do better than that. We will do better than that because of all of you. Governor, thank you for your leadership. And again, thank all of you for what you're doing day in and day out. Madam Speaker, thanks for what you're doing day in and day out. Thank you for being an angel of mercy, delivering health care to folks. That's what it's about. They ought to know about the Hippocratic oath of policy making. Do no harm. You ought to teach them that one. And for your leadership.